Hello, everyone, and welcome into crushthestreet.com, your source for unconventional news, opting out of conventional wisdom. And to talk with me about unconventional news, maybe breaking down some of the fake news, I have Joe from the YouTube channel JSnip4, huge audience. Realist News is what he calls it. He's a favorite here at Crush the Street. And, you know, one thing I would say is he's got a real personal relationship with his audience. And many of you are probably followers of Joe. So I know he's going to give us some interesting stuff here. Yeah, I remember the Hurricane Irma, watching you, Joe, go through that. What a personal experience that was. And it really was a testament to the relationship that you have with your subscribers and, riding out that storm. So without any further ado, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, not a problem. It's funny because, and I've probably said this before, I forget, I've talked about so many things, but I started my channel in 2000. I joined YouTube when it pretty much came out. It was like 2006. And then by 2009 is when I started doing videos. So I never really used it. But I determined at that point, even though my name's JSnip4, every video I start with is going to say realist news, because I could see as I was researching and kind of waking up, red pilling myself slowly but surely, that this is all fake. The news is fake. It's all, everything's propaganda. So I said, I'm going to come out and tell people what I find to be the truth, which is against the fake news, which I didn't call it fake news back then. But it's funny how right now, all the news is fake. And here I am still going with my meme or whatever of realist news, trying to keep it real. Because people need to be, awoken in stuff. So yeah, I remember that storm, for us, we barely got some of the outer bands. We're not like right on the coast anyway. So, the power did go out for about 4 or 5 days, and that was not fun. But we survived. I was doing a few videos off my phone, as best I could, and things like that. So yeah, I was had to keep everybody up to date with what was happening.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and you do a great job of that. So congratulations to you and your success with YouTube and your channel. So without any further ado, let's talk about a few things. I want to hit a few topics here and get your thoughts on it. So the Federal Reserve is in the process of raising interest rates. And, even Donald Trump has called it a big fat bubble prior to him becoming a president, having to walk into this potentially. And they're raising rates. And he's even talked about the jitters that we're seeing in the stock market now, that if we do see a major correction, it's because of the Federal Reserve, right? They're out of control. So what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I remember watching, we all lived through 2008 and 9, we saw what happened. And you start to see what the Fed comes out. Well, we have a few tools, and as Bernanke used to say, we have more tools in the toolbox, and they bought up all the garbage mortgage debt. Just garbage debt, paid them 100 cents on the dollar, didn't write any of it down, gave the banks full price. Here you go for this garbage. Now it's sitting on their balance sheets. They're supposed to be unwinding that. And I'm sitting here saying, okay, well, the biggest trick they have is to drop rates. So we haven't had normal rates in a long time, but normally when they drop rates, you're at least 6, 7, 8% or so. They drop the rates, and okay, look, we can fix things. When really they don't, it just kind of lessens the impact a little bit. And then we have to deal with the repercussions later, like we are now, with massive bubbles and things. But what are they going to do now? Where they're actually at their rate is still tiny. It's low. Even though they're raising it 0.25% here, 0.25% there, it's like, oh, wow, you raised it 4 times. Yeah, but it's only 1%. So you haven't really gone much of anywhere. At the same time, though, you are creeping up, and it's going to be painful the higher they creep. So at some point, I feel like they're going to go back. We're going to go back down to low interest rates, but it's not going to have the same kind of impact it had before, because before it was at 6, 7, 8, 9%. I got my brother-in-law here blowing leaves. I'm not sure how loud that is, but he's on my front office here. We'll be probably done in a second.
No worries.
Yeah. Was it loud? Could you hear it?
No, it was very insignificant.
Okay. It's kind of loud where I'm at. So I'm like, all right, maybe I'll be quiet so my mic doesn't pick it up while I'm talking, but he's kind of walking away now. Yeah. So, it's different when it's 6, 7, 8%, and then they say, okay, we're going to drop rates way down. But if you only get to 3 or 4%, and then they say, okay, we got to do it again, we're going to drop rates. Okay. Well, it's not going to have much of an impact because we're already kind of low. The other side is they bought up all that garbage mortgage debt.
Hmm.
So what are they doing with all that debt? They're trying to, as I say, unwind. But my question is, are they going to be able to unwind before having to actually do it all over again? And the next question is, are they going to do it all over again? Or are we going to finally, and I say we, but really they going to decide we can't do it this time and let the actual boom and bust cycle, in this case, the bust cycle, hit. And then prices drop. Yes, the market's going to go down. But I mean, we can't have these kind of high mortgage prices, these houses. It's insane. I mean, this is ridiculous.
So let's talk about the stock market jitters. I mean, we're seeing a lot of up and down right now, a lot of turbulence in the stock market. Do you expect this to start to trickle into actual asset prices, the financial markets? I mean, housing, stocks. What are your thoughts on this?
As far as like you talking about the interest rates, what the Fed's doing?
Just the stock market, and maybe as it pertains to, China, the interest rates, the economic situation, the,
Well,
nine
well,
going on 10-year bull market. I mean,
right. Everything's kind of tied together. We have all these bubbles, and that's what happened after this last bailout. Everything became a bubble because they didn't let it really pop. I mean, we did see the market go down. So we saw the stock market go down in 2008, 9, whatever. Housing went with it. And we had to bail it all out, which created these bubbles. So it never really equalized like it probably should have. Because first of all, the prices we were paying back in 2005, 6, and 7 for houses was already too high.
right.
So here we are in 2018, and we're actually back where those highs were. Some are even a little higher. So we're at worst case, we're a little higher. Best case, we're even to where we were back in 2006 and 7 or whatever before it crashed. So, and this is also with lower interest rates. So back then, we didn't have these lower interest rates. So now we have houses that are priced the same as they were back then with higher interest rates, which means higher payments, and people can't afford it. So there's less spending. There's less, consumers out there consuming, not less consumers, but less people consuming because they can't afford to, because they're making all their money's going to their housing. So that affects everything. It's going to affect the stock market. It's going to affect housing. It's going to affect businesses. It's again, I know we hear these numbers with Trump right now. We have these high GDP and high this and high that, and I think is that real? Is it all truthful? Is it really that good, or is he doing what others have done and just basically said it's me doing this and life is good? I mean, I know some of the numbers are legit, but I don't, even if they are legit, just again the housing's, it's the biggest thing because that's the biggest nut you have to crack every month. And if you are spending most all of your check to just pay that, you don't have much for a car payment or your credit card debt or your student loan debt or just living, food and kids and school supplies, all this stuff. So the whole system has to come down. I mean, you look at the stock market, you look at China, you look at the European markets. I mean, even our own, really, you look at this whole year and we've gone nowhere now. We ran up, everywhere ran up and came down. We're like really the only ones that kind of ran up and came down. All the other markets really didn't do a nice run up and come down. They kind of barely moved and then just stayed steady down this whole time. Now we've got, trade wars and tariffs and all this stuff happening. We got a dollar that's pumping right now for some reasons I don't know if anybody can explain. Why is our dollar so strong right now in this market? Meanwhile, the emerging markets and everything else are kind of dumping. But I was just reading a bit of something Peter Schiff said this morning, actually, and he's talking about, for now, yeah, the dollar's rising and the emerging markets are getting hit. But he feels that that's going to reverse. And when it does, it's not going to be too, good for us. And he may be right.
Yeah, no, I definitely see the possibility in that. Okay, I want to move on here. You have become an authority in the crypto space, and you've openly talked about how much cryptocurrency has changed your life. You purchased your house, and many things have happened because of cryptocurrency, and congratulations on that. But I'd like to get your thoughts on where we are, the pulse of the market. Where is your sentiment as it pertains to crypto? Are you excited about it, or are you in a more of a wait and see kind of mode?
Yeah, I'm still excited about it. Yet it's still a wait and see mode because we've had such a bear market for a number of months this year, most of this year pretty much. Right after January is when it started really falling. That was our as all-time high market cap, 800 something $billion market cap for the whole crypto space, which currently sits around 210, 209 billion. But I've tried to remind people too, last year, this exact same time, the market cap is where it was now. And a lot of times when a bubble happens or something, a big FOMO, the fear of missing out. Everyone rushes in, pushes the price way up to exorbitant prices. Then it settles down. Everyone gets scared off. It always comes back. I forgot who it was that said it, but they said a bubble always likes to go back and do full circle where it started. And we're there. So I'm still optimistic. I just wish it would happen faster, the cycle, of all right, it's going to go up again. But it happened so fast last year. It really started in November when it was visible that, hey, this market's going, this is nice. And then December came and it was like, oh my God, this is insanely nice. Like we're all rich. And then January and then February, that was it. Okay, well, nobody sold off. Rarely anybody did. So everyone's, I think, is in the mindset now that when it happens again, they're going to take some profit, myself included. But, I have my price targets of where I feel like I want this coin or my whole portfolio to go before I start doing stuff like pay the house off in full or that kind of thing. And while we got real close last time around, it wasn't the exact numbers I needed, so I didn't do anything with it. But again, this time around, it's like, if we get those kind of numbers again, and I think we will, and then at some point we will exceed those highs. I'm going to take some profit this go around. But yeah, I'm still optimistic. We've got great news coming. I've sent myself 2 videos, emails today. Hey, do a, video. I'll just give you the titles real quick. German Central Bank and Deutsche Börse successfully complete blockchain settlement test. Unconfirmed though. It says U.S. regulators could approve the backed BTC futures launch in the very first week of November. That's another big one we're all waiting on. Not necessarily the futures, just the backed exchange getting online. So, normally when you would see such good news like this, you would think an industry or whatever it is would be skyrocketing, or the prices of things would be going up. That's not the case with crypto. And I think honestly, it's because most of the people in crypto are probably like me. We put all of our eggs in, not all of our eggs, but all the dry powder, so to speak, into it. And we're not going to keep dipping in constantly and feel like we've got a holding that we're comfortable with, and now we sit and wait. So I think there's a lot of people sitting and waiting, and that may be playing a role as to why it hasn't pumped up again. But at the same time, I would argue, well, let's look at last year. Why did it start going crazy all of a sudden in November? And it wasn't late November when the holidays were here, Thanksgiving. It started early on in November. So you can't, people can't say, well, it must have been all the people talking at the family dinner table. That I think helped it into December, honestly, but it didn't start it off in November. So I would ask who or what put all that money in all of a sudden to make the market rise. And it's going to be another event, in my opinion, just like that when it goes again. And it may be the same thing we saw last year, the same kind of time frame.
Well, you talk about what took it up, and I believe, and I think you would agree with this, it's the fundamentals ultimately that built the foundation for this speculative rise in cryptos. And, eventually it got in front of its skis, but it was the fundamentals that took it to where it was. And then, just like all cycles go, it got ahead of itself. And, here we are once again. But what a powerful thing you said, the lessons of a bull market, especially the greatest bull market in all of history that we saw in 2017, looking back at it, saying, okay, this is what I would do differently. This is how I would approach the next bull market in whatever sector we might see, because I think we're going to be talking about the 2017 bull market and other bull markets in crypto, but specifically the 2017 bull market, probably for the rest of our lives. So any other thoughts on that before I get into some more fake news?
Yeah, no, I just, anyone listening that's concerned about crypto or wondering about crypto, again, just the 2 articles I gave you, Deutsche Bank, they did a blockchain settlement, test that was successful. Everything, and it's my opinion, but I do a lot of research, as you know. This is going to be like internet 2.0 of when the internet came out, no one really recognized, hey, this is going to be the internet and everyone's going to communicate. We're going to be streaming videos, and me and you are going to be doing a video right now, and like this technology. No one saw that. So maybe a few people did, but I feel like enough of us have seen this with cryptos that we're recognizing, oh my God, this is what these other things were. And we're not going to let it slip from our grasp because it's in front of our face and we recognize it. Before, we always go back, oh, I wish I would have gotten at Amazon at $1. Wish I got at Google when it came out. Wish I got at Facebook when it came out, And then we sit back and say, I wish. And then maybe somebody, if you're lucky, that did get into those. And with cryptos, I think there's going to be quite a few of us who are into it. And a lot of people are going to say, oh, yeah, I know some people who got into it, including myself and Joe and all these other people on YouTube. They really tried to tell us about it, and we took a chance with them. I think it'll be good. I really do.
All right, Joe. Well, I definitely appreciate your insight on the crypto markets. Let's move on. So, migrant caravans, we're seeing this right now. Some are calling it a declaration of war with the thousands that are marching up towards the U.S. border here. I'd like to get your thoughts on this. I mean, it's such an interesting dynamic, especially with the timing of the midterm elections and just the psychology that you have on both the right and the left. So what are your thoughts on this initially?
It's just another Democratic operative, probably George Soros, which he's a Democratic operative himself, open borders, all this nonsense. He's old, he's dying, he's not going to be around much longer. And I think he wants to see some of his great, ideas, become accomplishments of his, this whole like New World Order speak, just like Papa Bush, George Bush Sr. wanted to see this New World Order come to fruition before he died. He's another guy that's going to be dead before you know it. He's old.
Mhm.
And I don't think they're going to get their way, but they're just kind of going out kicking and screaming, doing little stupid things. Let's help fund Antifa and do some of these nonsensical protests, there's very few of these people. You may turn on the TV and it may look like a lot. There's not. There's very few people that come with, the Antifa group. It's a small group of people, just like, some of the, well, I was going to say like the recent Gillum showing in Florida here and in Tampa, where a few hundred people showed up. This guy's supposed to be the governor of Florida. A few hundred Democrats show up. And it's the same thing when Hillary was running for president. A few hundred people show up, but the mainstream media made it look like it was huge. So I think I'm going to throw a conspiracy dart out there that I can't prove, but it's just something for people to think about. What if this caravan is not the size as big as they've been telling us it is? And as it's moving through, they're trucking people for sure, by the way. I've seen it. And then they get out in a certain area, they stop. This is the conspiracy part, okay? And they get out and stop, and then you see the guy paying people. He's probably paying the locals. Everybody can just come out briefly, get in this line. We want to take some photos and video. And then when we're done, you can go back to your business and go back to do what you want. And then the regular caravan gets back in the trucks and then heads forward. That's my opinion. I'm going to throw a little conspiracy dart out there. It'll remain to be seen, though, when we get to the border, or if and when they get to the border, just how many are there. Because if a whole crap load of them are there, then my little dart, I'm going to have to remove it off the dartboard and throw it away. But it's a thought.
That's funny. I like the way you said that, conspiracy dart. And you acknowledge that it may or may not be true or not. But
for sure.
Even your moderate Democrat out there, you got to probably secretly, when they go to bed, appreciate that Donald Trump's in office and is tough on that border. Could you see the news stories on this? You're like, there's this migrant caravan coming across the border, blatantly, trying to break the law, come into the U.S. unlawfully. You almost got to appreciate that there is a strong leader in office that is going to do what he can to defend the border and to stand up and say, hey, we're going to withdraw funds, foreign aid from these countries if they don't take care of what is going on south of the U.S. border. And so it definitely seems like an extreme leftist type of move. And, anyways, any last thoughts on that? And then I want to get to the bombs that we're seeing in the...
Oh, yeah, the fake news and the fake bombs, yeah. So the migrant caravan, normally when there's a war-torn country or something and people are fleeing, under certain circumstances, you can come over... Hey, come in the country. We got you. In this case, this is not anything like that. These are just simple, kind of like the Antifa thing. Where do these people come from? I don't know. They just showed up one day. Like, there's no real reason behind there. There's no war-torn countries that these people are coming from. We're trying to escape and flee. This is simply someone's paying us to go to the border. I've seen the videos. The guy out there actually handing money to all these women and people in the caravan. What are you handing the money for? Where'd you get this money to just give them to walk to now they're going to walk an entire country to the border? You know how long that would take? They're being trucked. But when the trucks stop and they all get out, that's what we see for the mainstream media. All right, everybody get out and film this. What we need is someone with boots on the ground, an alt-right person or whatever you want to call it, a regular person, and film the truck stopping and these people getting out. Camera time. Like, that's what needs to happen to squash this thing. You know what I mean? But most of us, we don't care. We don't believe it anyway. So it's just more fake news. I mean, it's happening, but it's for fake reasons. It's like fake news.
So we got the midterm election coming up, and it's very timely that these bombs that went to New York to hit these strategic centers, CNN, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton,
Yeah.
that didn't explode, right? And it's very interesting, considering that the left is being accused of being mobs, right? We're talking about, what we're seeing coming from the far left groups here, attacking, being violent. And how coincidental is it? Hey, let's try to make the other side look bad, especially in time for the midterm election, which I think is very consequential. So what are your thoughts on this?
All right. So normally I kind of do this little methodological. I normally say, okay, is there something that's supposed to be live today on TV that we need to watch? Like someone from the FBI, Mueller, Comey, Rosenstein, somebody that's like, oh my God, he just, said such and such. He's perjuring himself. Like, one of these big grillings in Congress, a hearing, or, committee or whatever. But I didn't find anything. So I said, okay, what are they not wanting us to look at? And I can't really find anything that they don't want us to look at. Okay, so scratch that off the list. What's next? They don't want you being associated with crazies. And they're trying to say anybody on the right, the Republicans, are crazies. Now, we are winning so much right now. Again, Gillum, a few hundred people show up. Hillary Clinton back in 2016, a few hundred people show up to her rallies. She's getting gymnasiums, and Donald Trump is selling out freaking stadiums, tens of thousands. And the same with the local Republicans, too, that he's going to represent and help. People waiting outside, thousands of them outside, can't get inside because it's full. They know they're finished. They know there's not even kind of going to be a blue wave. There's nothing. A couple of drips on the ground at best, anything. So what do? Again, they only have a few tools in their toolbox that they can do from time to time. Fake the polls and tell everybody, oh, Gillum's up 5%. Hillary's got a 95% chance of winning. Oh, she lost. Oh, that's funny. And now we're hearing it in Florida. He's got a 5-point lead. He has no lead. I looked at the poll from CNN, and then I drilled into the poll. Who provided the poll for CNN? Here it is. Who did they poll? Oh, 32% Democrats were polled, and only 26% Republican were polled. Oh, so it's already lopsided. And then 40-something% independents or other candidate or party. And I thought, you don't think they're being sneaky when they use the word other by chance, which means other Democrats, to pop that thing up, So it's fraud. So they know they're finished. They know the polls ain't working. They know we're beyond that. What else can we do? Let's go with the old crazies. We can pull some people back because they don't want to be associated with, if they could prove the KKK or only the KKK goes to the Republican side. Oh, I don't want to be a part of that. I got to go over here. I don't want, they're associated with that. I don't want to be a part of that. So that's one of the tactics they use. These crazy bombers, And I look at one of the photos. They said, oh, they've had it for 48 hours now, the police. And this one might be fake. What do you mean might be? They know. They knew probably immediately whether it was fake. And I was just talking to my boss, actually, the company I work for. And he's like, I'm watching this thing. And they're like parading the damn bomb vehicle that's got the thing in it. They're parading it down the street, turn over here. It was like a parade. Everybody show this bomb. We got the big vehicles out, the SWAT team. We're dragging. He's like, there's, basically a fake bomb inside. And I'm like, I know. The one it looked like it was made of like pantyhose, hamster bedding, and a $3 digital alarm clock from Walmart or Amazon. They showed the clock on Amazon. That can't ignite something. It can't even set off a trigger to ignite something. Like, in there with 48 hours, they're not sure if this. Yes, it's fake. It's fake. So it's like, the fake news providing fake bombs to try to get people to come back over. And that's why, they had Hillary, they had Barack. Everybody's answering at the same time. What do you think about that? Oh, all of you were available. They got a hold of all of you to give your speech at the same time, basically. Wow. Incredible. I thought you guys were out doing $300,000, $400,000 a time speeches. And Barack, you're going across the different country. Same with Hillary. She's in India. She's over here. Well, you guys had time to get out and talk about it. It's fake.
Right away.
In my opinion, it's fake.
Yeah, the circumstantial evidence is really stacked against it, especially when you start pointing out all of these things. And again, the timing of these elections. You've seen what they did to Trump right before November, the election in 2017 or 2016, all the
Yep.
women started coming out of nowhere to accuse him of rape and, sexual
Just like
misconduct.
Kavanaugh, right before he was about to get confirmed. Same thing happens with Kavanaugh. Now we're about to have midterms. The Republicans are going to clean house. Oh, roll the fake, bomb story. Unbelievable.
It is. It really is. It's sad that our country has come to this. And, when you think about it, we can't have substantive arguments anymore. It's all about how do we get and trick people into voting in a certain way, because it's not about, having, a very informed argument. It's about how do we get a mass group of uninformed people to do what we want. And that is where our democracy is failing. And that's why it doesn't make sense to have, illegal immigrants coming into the country and being able to vote and do these things, because you don't have skin in the game.
Right. They'll come over and vote whoever got me in. Who helped me get over here? Democrat? I'm vote Democrat.
Yeah.
It's the only reason I'll vote for him. So you have this left and right thing going on, but I'll ask people, not to say that, believe me, I'll roast a Republican just as fast as I'll roast a Democrat. John McCain, I'm all over his butt, of plenty of them. But, Paul Ryan, all over him too. But are there any news about the Republicans doing this kind of stuff? If it's there, I want to report it. I can't find any. The Republicans aren't coming out. Well, this person's raped me. Fake story. Throwing bombs. They're not doing it. And so I ask anybody out there that might be a Democrat, if they're doing this to trick you, maliciously trick you into their little corner, the Democratic corner, isn't that enough for you to say to yourself, why the hell am I part of this party? Why do I need to be tricked to join this party? Either I stand for what this party's about, and I don't need to be tricked, or what I thought this party was about, holy crap, maybe that was the trick, and I've been tricked my whole life. And now they're trying to maintain it, and it's falling apart, and now I'm mad because you've been tricking me the whole time. So people, I think, #walk away. It's happening. They're walking away from the Democratic Party.
Well, what a difficult situation it is to box all of our beliefs into two sides, right? A right and a left. If you believe in taxes, that means you don't believe in abortion, which connects to believing in climate change, man-made climate change. It's like all these things that is on one side, and then if you're on the other side, you have to be a Christian, and you have to be pro-life, and that means you are conservative in your finances. It's like it describes everything. But I think that really goes down to why it's so important to have such a limited government, because it's not the role of the government to be involved in every single one of these aspects of our life. It's
you nailed it.
A very limited scope of what they're responsible for, and allow the very, very lower level, smaller jurisdictions to represent the people. And I think it's not perfect in any way, but that's what is ideal for the society in the future going forward. So, Joe, I want to give you an opportunity to just respond to that, and then just close this out here. Give us some closing thoughts. And again, thanks for coming on Crush the Street.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you absolutely just hit on the head. This whole left-right thing. You say, well, I'm not like me. I feel like I'm not really any, there's no party out there that really calls my name. Like, oh, I'm definitely a Republican, or I'm definitely there, I'm definitely conservative. Or I just want to. What happened to just good people? Here's what I stand for, and if you like me, vote for me, and that's it. But you can't, because that person has a red flag behind them, so that means you're voting for a Republican. And there's people out there who would just flat out tell you, I'll never vote for a Republican, or I'll never vote for a Democrat. Why? If they represent the values that you have, and then why not vote for them? But like you said, you would have a much less harder time even trying to deal with that and figure it out and get angry at people if the government backed way the hell off, go back to when the freaking Constitution was created, very limited government, and let the people deal with the stuff themselves. Again, local governments too. You don't have, because every time a problem comes up, we need a new entity in the government, we need a new committee, we got to have to ask for funding for that. And then you have people sitting around doing nothing, to make it look like we've dealt with that issue. And the government keeps growing and keeps growing, and regulation. Then you have things now where they create regulation because somebody paid them, through campaign contributions, to pass some law that's beneficial for this thing. And then they put regulation in place for like the small farmers, for example. And the small farmers say, well, that doesn't really apply to us, but you're making us do it. Now it's costing us money. We'll never be able to survive. Like Trump says, we're going to deregulate everything. Not crazy, but we're going to deregulate this whole mess. So he's, I think, the right guy for the right time, where he's going to make this government small again. Like he said, I'm going to hand the power back to the people. Mm-hmm. And I really believe it. He ain't going to get it done in a hurry, obviously, because it's a mess. But he certainly is making good on his promises. I believe in him. I wasn't sure at first because I'm saying, oh, he's getting Goldman Sachs guys in here, and oh, what the hell? And then next thing, they're gone. Oh, that one's gone too. Hey, I'm all right with that. So, I mean, I look forward to where things are going. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, or we may not have some issues, whether it's, markets crashing and things that the left are going to try to do to just discredit him. I mean, we got the next election in 2020. I wouldn't be surprised if they try something right before the election to make him look terrible, like kill the economy and that sort of thing. But, does he have people in place like the plunge protection team, so to speak, that are going to say nope? And then we just keep the bubbles going even longer, which isn't exactly good either, but it's better than, I guess, crashing. But, I mean, like we're between a rock and a hard place. I don't know, but that's one other reason I like cryptos, because I feel like they're going to get to a point where they could save our bacon should any of these bad events come. Oh, my 401k just got killed. Oh, my pension just got screwed over. Well, that's okay. I had a small crypto portfolio 3 years ago. Now it's massive, and then you're not concerned. So that's about all I got.
That's a true point. And I don't know if everyone caught that there, but it's like you get to a point where you're so financially independent that you're above the politics. And I think that's a powerful statement that you made right there. Crypto gives you that ability, and really just, detaching yourself from the conventional system as much as possible, using it where you need to, but then being able to be above that. I mean, that's a powerful thing you said there. So Joe, thanks for coming on Crush the Street. If people want to learn more about you and what you do at your channel, let them know where they can go and what they can expect to find.
Yeah, you can just go to YouTube/ or youtube.com/jsnip4, the letter J, SNIP4. Or you can simply go on YouTube, type that in, or type in Realist News. You will find me. That's my main site. I do have a Patreon site set up. It's also Patreon/JSnip4, where I talk about crypto, sometimes some news I get beforehand related to the crypto markets or whatever, just some private information. But for the most part, people can just find me on YouTube by searching for Realist News.
All right, Joe. Thanks for coming on.
Anytime.